Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hello, happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. Welcome in, welcome in. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday, happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. As you're coming in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Like and share. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Thank God it is Friday. Praise God, praise God. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Welcome in, everyone. Hey. Welcome, 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 welcome. How was your 4th of July? Welcome in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome in, my TikTok family. Come on in. Yes. Come on in. Come in, come in. Welcome and happy Friday. Thank God we made it through another week. Welcome in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, everyone. Hello, 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 my dear sister. Welcome in. It's Friday. Woohoo! Thank God we made it to another week. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, come on in, come on in. There's my friend. Welcome in. Invite, share as you come in. Thanking God it is Friday and we made it through another week. That's a blessing. Thank you, God. Welcome in. Happy Friday. Woohoo! Welcome in. Welcome. Hi, sis. There's nothing like my sister. There's nothing like my sister. Welcome. Family is everything. Family is everything. Family. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Come in. Like, share. Send those hearts. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank God it's Friday. This has been a really, really long week. Thank God. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, 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 my TikTok family. Welcome in. Today's topic is going to be life and love after domestic violence. But also, you all tell me, how is your life today? What's going on with you? How was your 4th? What did you all do? Welcome in. Welcome. Thank God it is a beautiful Friday. I don't know where you are, but it is definitely hot here in New Jersey. It's very hot. Welcome in. Welcome in. Like, share, hit the hearts. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm not sure where this thing is going, but I'm just going to chit chat today. My topic today is love after the abuse. Has anybody ever seen the show on Lifetime about domestic violence, there's one that was um, pretty graphic, but it was actually true that they made of the Palato girl that went on a road trip, and I'm not earning anything off of her name, and we just ask God to allow her to continue to rest in peace and love and condolences to her family. But it was a shame how that young lady lost her life when she was a blogger with her boyfriend, and she was being abused while on the road, and eventually he took her life. Did anyone see that movie? I'm sure there's going to be some more coming in. Love after the abuse. Can you find yourself in a position to giving your heart to someone else, to trying to love again? Has anybody ever experienced that? Love after the abuse. Or even, not even the physical abuse, but verbally. And sometimes when you get our heart broken, a lot of us, we just stay there. We don't want to open up. We don't want to love again. We are scared to share our hearts again. And we've all had that, where when you're in a relationship, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. There's so many that has been, it is that Matthew, welcome Matthew, like, share, join, like and share. But today's topic is love after the abuse, or love after being hurt, when your heart has been hurt. How do you love again? How do you move forward? Are you afraid to give someone your heart? Are you afraid to love? I've been there. I was just thinking about the Polito young lady that lost her life while she was on a road trip with her boyfriend, and that was just something that really touched my heart, because she was a blogger. Everyone loved her. Everyone was rooting for her to be alive. Everyone was following her and her story, and to lose her life on the road was just tragic. And by the one that she really loved was tragic. But yes, so as you're coming in, like, share, hit those likes. Thank you, Elisa Bakeridge, for joining. Thank you, thank you. Today's topic is love after the abuse. I was in a domestic violence marriage before, and to be honest, I am remarried. So love after the abuse. Do you ever see yourself wanting to trust again, to love again? Is that ever something you've experienced? We've all, welcome, Ronique. Welcome, share, like. Thank you. Have you ever had a point in your life to where you've gotten your heart hurt, your significant other lied to you, cheated on you? How hard it is to start over again. Can you even imagine being in a domestic violence relationship? I was just thinking as I was talking earlier about the young lady that lost her life, the Polito girl that went on a road trip with her boyfriend, and she also lost her life on the road with him. And although he did commit suicide himself, but isn't that awful how we give our heart, our time, our confidence, to trusting other people, and to be able to also in the midst of that get our hearts broken or even lose our life? It's horrible. And I just wanted to talk on that today, because a lot of us see every single day, no matter where we are in life. Thank you so much, Monique, for joining. Where every single day, it's like no matter where you are in the state. I'm here in New Jersey. There's a lot of violence in New York. But no matter where you are, every day someone's losing their life to violence and domestic violence. And even in the schools, like, I don't remember ever seeing couples break up in high school or junior high school and you lose your life over it. Like, we're in a different time. We're in a whole different type of mentality when it comes to love or liking or not liking someone. I mean, this is a very serious conversation, but we need to address it. We need to talk about it. So yeah, welcome everyone. I know there's going to be people coming in soon, or even if you listen to the recap. I'm just talking about love after the abuse. Can you fall in love again? Do you know anyone in your family or your friends who are going through abuse, or you assume they're going through abuse? And what do you do? How do you approach them? What do you say to them other than get out of there, girl? What do you do when it's your sister or your mother? What do you do? How do you handle it? That's a question. Hi, Rosaline. Today's topic is, like, share, and hit those hearts. Invite. Today's topic is love after the abuse, love after a broken heart, love after, being taken advantage of. A lot of times we want to be in love so bad. We want the ring. We want the white picket fence. We want the home. We just want to be with someone who wants the same thing that we want, who says in the beginning, when you're dating, you're like, okay, this is what I want. I want someone to respect me, to love me, to not lie to me, not cheat on me. Let's work together. Let's build from the ground up. And everything seems to be all hunky-dory in the beginning when they're putting on the facade, they're putting on the mask, when they're pretending that this is what they want. But in the end, it's not. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in. Love after the abuse. Can you love again? Can you trust your heart to someone again? Is it even in the cards for you to want to desire to be married again, even if it was a spouse that cheated on you, that lied on you? For me, I've been there. I've done that. And it didn't feel good. It worked out for my good because God was the center of everything that I've gone through. But what does it look like in your eyes? Has this happened to you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Share, like. I'm not worried about the numbers. I'm not worried. I got my moderator here. Thank you for my mod. But I just want to know, what is your definition of love? When you're dating, when you're looking for someone, what is that definition of love for you? What does it look like for you? Alberry, thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you. Today's topic is love after you've been hurt. Love after you've been cheated on. Can you love again? Are you going to have your guards up? Are you willing to give someone another try? Even if you see some red flags. What is a red flag for you? Welcome, welcome, come in. Please like, share, hit those hearts, join in. Thank you. So 4th of July, did anyone cook? Okay, sis. It's okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome in. Eventually, somebody will be able to understand or comprehend. Someone will be able to even have the ability to voice their opinion because someone they know has been in a domestic violence relationship or marriage. And domestic violence isn't always hitting. Sometimes it's verbal abuse. It can be someone that's not allowing you to have money, financial abuse. It can be spiritual abuse, because if you want to go to church and say your spouse doesn't want you to go to church, and they try to hinder you from doing the things you like, that is also abuse. So welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. For those who want to come in and put your comments in the box, that's fine. If not, that's okay as well. Some people will come by, some people will drop in, and they will like, share, or they will move forward, and that's okay too. But this has to be talked about because domestic violence is one of the leading causes of death in the United States and out. Every day we see people losing their lives on the news, and sometimes in your neighborhood or in your family, because everything doesn't make the news. But what we do need to do is shine the light on domestic violence. My mod is in here. Thank you for watching for me. Thank you for inviting people. Thank you for those of you who are coming in or not. I will look down, and thank you all for joining, but I need to move forward and do what God has told me to do. So I have a couple questions. So when trouble comes and things go wrong, what do? What is your source? Who is your source? When trouble comes in your life, your marriage, your relationship with your children, and things go wrong, how do you handle it? We see a lot of child abuse going on. It's just not domestic violence, it's child abuse, elder abuse. I saw on the news today where someone must have gotten into an altercation or an argument up here and in the up north area, and they whoever was arguing with the person left and came back and shot up the house. So two adults got shot. I think 3 or 4 children got shot. Looks like, I think it was like 4 months to maybe 7, 8 years old. There's two other cases I've seen this week where an 8-year-old got shot and killed. A 10-year-old got ran over last night. I mean, kids are dying. So what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Are we still on the concept of I'm not going to tell, snitches get stitches, or I'm not going to get involved? We have to get involved. Thank you all for coming in. As you're coming in, like, share, and join. You can join in the comments. You can ask any questions. But what do you do when trouble comes? When trouble comes your way and things go wrong, what do you do? What's your source? How do you handle it? Let us go quickly. And for me, it's God. God is my source. When I was going through my domestic violence relationship, God was my source. In the beginning, I was angry with God because I felt like, God, how can you allow these things to happen? But I don't know what you do. So for you all who are coming in, what do you do? Continue to like, share, and invite when you come in. What do you do when you've gotten your heart broken? How do you move on? And how do you start again? Do you know how to start again? Is it hard to love again? Is it hard to trust again? For me, like I said before, my source was God. And I have this quote here that says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own insight. In all of your ways, acknowledge him and he will straighten your path. He will always direct our paths. I'm a Christian, so I'm going to always rely on God. And as you see, I have an organization called Trapped with a Treasure. Trapped with a Treasure was founded in 2021. It's a domestic violence organization that doesn't just gear towards domestic violence, but also towards homelessness, towards runaway teens. And there's a lot of aspects of this organization that can touch each and every one of your lives. I know when people hear domestic violence, they run away, they shy from it. But domestic violence, it hits us all. Sometimes you don't even know that there's a person in your family that's going through it because they hide it. It's embarrassing. A lot of people don't like to like and share or discuss it because they feel it's private or it's not me. But we need to get involved. We need to talk about it, because what if it's your daughter or your sister or even your mother? Like, it's happening in the schools. It's happening in high schools. It's happening in junior high schools. Like, and to me, domestic violence is also another form of bullying. And we see that going on in our school systems. So what do you do? Are we going to keep ignoring it, or are we going to talk about it? What do you do? Are we letting our daughters and our sons, because our sons are getting bullied as well. They're being violently abused in relationships. What do we do? Thank you, Princess, for joining. We're just talking about love after the abuse, love after you've been lied to, cheated on. Also talking about being bullied, intimidated, and how do we prepare our children? How do we talk about it? Thank you for joining. Like, share, hit the hearts. You can even put your questions in the box. But what do we do? Are we preparing our children for being bullied? Are we preparing our teenagers, our young boys and sons and daughters? Even in high school, they're going through domestic violence. They show this so many times on TikTok, stories. They're talking about it when they're already being deceased. But what can we do before that happens? Are we preparing our children by sitting them down and talking to them and saying, this is what is tolerated, this what isn't? Talk to me. Don't allow someone to violate you. And domestic violence or violence isn't always hitting. It's controlling. It's being bullying. It's, taking your money. It's telling you that I don't want you with that person, or you're with your friends too much. I want you around me. Like, this is something that we have to shine a light on. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you, sister, for liking, sharing. Thank you for inviting. Thank you all that are here now, and for those who are going to hear it later. This is a subject that I'm passionate about. I have an organization called Trap with the Treasure, and it gears towards domestic violence, which domestic violence is so many different areas. It's financial abuse, it's mental abuse, it's physical abuse, it's spiritual abuse, you know, um, it's so many different areas. Like, it doesn't just, when people hear domestic violence, they just think that it's someone beating you up, but it's not. And there's so many different, thank you, Maggie, for joining. There's so many different organizations out here that are trying to get the voices heard of the women, of the men, or even our teenagers. Like, this is to the point where we have to enlighten our teenagers, our children, our sons, our daughters, our nieces, our nephews on the subject of violence. They're going through this in their high schools. They're going through this in private with their friends. They're going through this even in elementary school. Like, they have elementary from first grade to sixth grade now. Well, is it sixth grade now? No, yeah, somewhere around there. But anyway, what I'm saying is we have to let our children know, because they're dating behind our back. They're doing things behind our back. There's teachers that are touching our children, that are violating their bodies, that are violating their space. So we need to talk about this, and it's not just a woman's issue; it's an everybody's issue. And this is something that's very passionate to me. And I just wanted you to know, thank you, Palin, for joining. Thank you, I don't know how to say your name, Lolo. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Like, share, and hit those hearts. Today's subject is domestic violence and love after the abuse, and also about bullying and preparing our children to be able to have that hard conversation with them about when they're dating in school, and if someone is violating them, sexual abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. There's so many children that are going through emotional abuse. They're depressed, like in numbers, record numbers we've never seen before. So we need to allow our children the opportunity to understand what it looks like. What does it look like? There's so many children that are teenagers, I would say, that are committing suicide. Some of them that are being abused by their boyfriends in school because they want them to have sex, or they want them not to have friends, or to only be around them, and they're getting beaten in school and abused in school, and the parents know nothing about it. So what do we do? When trouble comes, what do we do? Can our children trust us, our teenagers trust us to talk to us about what they're enduring, what they see? You'll be amazed at how many children or our teenagers see abuse in school, on school grounds, but they don't say anything. They're not aware of the hotline number. They're not aware of, their advocates that they can talk to. They're not aware, because the abuser definitely doesn't want you to be able to tell someone, because they're afraid. They're scared. Of what the person, the victim is being abused, is scared, but the abuser also, in some cases, because if they get caught, they know there's consequences. If someone knows how they are or what they're doing, there's consequences. So what do we do with love after the abuse? Can you trust again? Can you give your heart again? What about with your teenagers? Like I've been saying, can you make them aware of what to do, where to go? Can they talk to you? Can your teenage daughter come home and say, my boyfriend is abusing me, or he grabbed my arm, or he doesn't want me with my friends, or he only wants me with him while in school? Are we prepared to have these conversations with our children? Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, Zealand. Are we prepared to have these conversations with our daughters before it's too late, with our sons before it's too late? Because you have a lot of dominant women or young girls or teenagers that are abusing your sons. Are we prepared for these conversations? School is out. The summer is in. A lot of states, there's a lot of things going on where there's a lot of violence outside. Your children will be, hanging out with friends, going to parties, Are they prepared to understand what domestic violence look like, what mental abuse look like, physical abuse look like of their friends? Can you give them information on how to talk to you? That they have an advocate that they can go out to. There's a number for the hotline. Do you make it available for them? Do you let your children know that it's okay to talk to me if you know anything that's going on with abuse, with their friends, with your nieces and your nephews? I was I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I'm not making this about me, but I am a survivor, so I know what it's like to be abused. I know what it's like not to tell anyone because you're embarrassed. I know what it's like to hide the scars. I know what it's like to pretend like everything's going to be okay. I know what it's like when someone tells you they're going to kill your family. And if you look at the news every single day, this is happening. So, can we prepare our children, can prepare and stop the cycle of abuse? Stop the cycle of being bullied. Stop the cycle of depression. Stop the cycle of them not knowing what to do, so they take their life. Are we able to make it an okay platform in our home so we can talk to our children and tell them this is what it looks like? Are you experiencing this? Do you know anyone in your circle that is experiencing this? Do you know the domestic violence hotline number? Do you need my help? Do we make our children understand that domestic violence is real? Bullying is real in all stages and ages. Mental abuse is real. People are going through so much, and a lot of times we put on the mask. We need to let people know, especially our children, especially our teenagers, because they're going through things now that we've never endured. So does anyone have any questions? You can drop it down in the comment box. Like, share. This is a subject a lot of people don't like to talk about, but this is something that needs to be addressed. Let me get that number. I used to remember it. EOMASTIC violence. The domestic violence hotline is, the national hotline is 800-799-7233. If my mod can put that in the comments. It's the hotline for domestic violence, and not only just domestic violence as in hitting. It's any kind of abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, spiritual abuse, someone taking your money. They want you to have money. You got to get, you go to work and you pay for, you get your paycheck and your husband or your spouse takes your money. There's so many different types of abuse, but there's also a chat, and you can text begin, capital B, capital E, capital G, capital I, capital N, excuse me. Excuse me. You can text that to let me get this closer. Sorry, you can text that to 88788. That's begin. Capital B, capital capital B, capital E, capital G, capital I, capital N, to 88788. And the national hotline number for domestic violence is 800-799-7233. Also, even in the midst of being violated or going through domestic violence or any type of violence, like myself, I suffer from a traumatic brain injury. So that can be something that is traumatizing as well. It's a concussion, but it's severe enough. It's a mild concussion, but it has other issues that come along with it, like my vision, like you saw, but I couldn't hardly see the numbers. Also, right now, I'm good. But it makes you stutter. It makes you lose insight. There's so many things that happens when you've been hit or violated or sexual abused. There's so many triggers that it gives you, especially in your mind. So what we need to do is bring awareness and stop saying that it's embarrassing to talk about or I don't like the subject. Because not liking the subject is causing people, thank you, Pastor Timothy, for joining. Not liking the subject is not healing us. Not liking the subject is not helping us. Not liking the subject is not stopping the violence in our countries, in our cities, in our schools, in our churches. It's not stopping the death toll. Every single day, you have thousands of people that are dying from domestic violence, from being bullied, from sexual abuse, physical abuse, from financial abuse, even spiritual abuse. Spiritual abuse is violence. It's under domestic violence. Domestic violence isn't always hitting. We need to talk about it. Thank you, Pastor Tim, for joining. We need to talk about it. We need to stop putting a mask over it. We need to stop hiding behind the mask, hiding behind the curtains. People are dying every day of domestic violence. I have an organization, like I said before, it's called Trapped with the Treasure, Inc. And if you come in, please like, share, and hit those hearts. We need to discuss it every day. People are dying. I was in a domestic violence marriage. It does not happen right away. It's very subtle. Every day you have teenagers that are losing their lives to violence from their boyfriends in school. Every day you have children that are being coerced to have sex, coerced to do drugs, coerced to do so many different things. And we thank you so much. Thank you for joining the team. And we need to open our mouths. I do have a traumatic brain injury. I'm going to say that. It's not from domestic violence, from a car accident. So if I stutter, that's why. If I lose my focus, I'm not drunk. I'm just trying to get what God told me to do. So when trouble comes and things go wrong, what do you do and where do you go? What do you do? For me, I was angry at God in the beginning because I felt like, God, I was doing it right. I did what, the Bible says, get married, instead of committing adultery. And, I was trying to be the wife that I was supposed to do. But everything that happens in our life is not God's fault. He gives us direction. He gives us free will. But we can't always think when things go wrong, it's God's fault. When things go right, it's a blessing from God. But, what's the word I wanted to say? That we made the right decision. I guess that would be it. So when trouble comes and things go wrong, in my book, it says, let us go quickly to God when troubles come to us. Let us never stop to whisper or complain or fret or fuss. Let us hide our thorns in roses, and our sights in golden songs, and our crosses in a crown of smiles. Whenever things go wrong, for no one can really help us, as our troubles be bemoaned, for comfort, help, and inner peace must come from God alone. So do not tell your neighbor, your companion, or your friend in the hopes that they can help you bring your troubles to an end. For they too have their problems. They are a burden just like you. So take your cross to Jesus and he will see you through. God is my source. God is my everything. But when I was going through, it was embarrassing. I know that a lot of people don't like talking about it, but it's real. Domestic violence is killing people every single day. And we have to open our mouths. Churches have to get involved. Churches have to have these talks. Churches have to make this platform available in their ministry. Every ministry should have a conversation about domestic violence, bullying, about sexual abuse, about physical abuse, about mental abuse. We need to have these conversations. It's sad that our children are dying every single year. You have children that are 6, 7, 8 years old that are dying. They're committing suicide. They haven't even lived their life because they're going through bullying, because their teachers are touching them, because someone in the family has touched them and they don't know what to do, because our parents tell them to get out of our face or go sit down somewhere. And we got to stop that. We have to open up our mouths, open up our hearts, and let our children know, let our teenagers know. We have to have these hard conversations. This isn't something that we can just keep going day to day and saying, I don't want to talk about this, or I don't want, to discuss this, or we're not going to bring this up in our ministry. You have to open your mouths, even in your families, because people are dying. I thank you all for coming in. I thank you, Grace 80. I'm messing it up. I'm sorry. Thank you all for coming in. Like, share, and follow. But the subject today is love after the abuse. Did I think I would ever fall in love again? No. Did I think I wanted to be in a relationship after going through the abuse? No. My nose kind of doesn't sit straight because my nose was fractured. It couldn't be reset because they said it was a fracture. I had a busted lip where when he punched me in my lip, it bust all the way through. It just wasn't busted bleeding. There's a hole that went all the way through. So I wear makeup a lot to cover that up. I had to get it stitched. He followed me to the emergency room. He even sat in the room. And he told me if I told anybody, well, he'll kill me. He'll kill my family. His son was going towards court because he had custody of one of his children. And he told me if I make him lose his child, what all he would do to me. And I know the lady that was stitching my lip back together, I know she knew something was wrong, but I couldn't speak up. And see, this is where we have to stop hiding. We have to stop covering it up. We have to stop ignoring it. Yes, we're teaching and we're preaching and doing God's will. That is great. But we also have to open up our mouths to the next generation and talk about these hard conversations of abuse. We have to talk about these hard conversations because there's even cases lately where the pastors are killing their wives or the wives are shooting their husbands because of violence. Like, we have to talk about this. And this is something that a lot of people don't want to talk about. You don't get a lot of likes about this, but it's okay because I'm not here for the likes. I want to save someone's life. I want to be able to tell them, I can tell you about this because I went through it. I made it through. And it's not about me, but I can never tell you all about domestic violence or about being free from it or getting out of it if I never experienced it. It's my testimony to you. If you know anyone that's going through it, the hotline number is 800-799-7233. What does it look like? Well, in the beginning of that marriage that I was in, he was addicted to drugs. I did not know. His mom did not tell me. She connected us. And once he wanted to get his drugs, he got violent. And anything that got in his way, it just got destroyed. He was a nice person. And a lot of people say, why didn't you leave? Well, I thought because I was a Christian that I can help him. I can pray him through, that I can change him by showing him a different world. We cannot change someone that does not want to be changed. And God does not want us to be in a position or a place where we're being hurt, harmed, threatened, abused in order to help someone else. I had to go through what I went through, but not to the extent I went through. But I had to go through that in order for God to get the glory out of this. No, he didn't put me there. I put myself there. But what I went through, God changed. He's turned it around. He's taken my ashes and turned it into beauty. Gave me beauty for ashes. He's allowed me to go through the situation I went through for the purpose of him. There is purpose after the pain. There's a testimony after the test. And it wasn't something that was profitable for me. I didn't like it at that time. I didn't understand why he was putting his hands on me. I didn't understand, why he wouldn't stop. I didn't understand how can you love someone and be nice to someone and go to church with someone and do all the things that a wife's supposed to do, but I'm being violated. I'm being, beaten. I'm being abused. I'm getting my car stolen. I'm having so much going on. But we as women have to open our mouths. Even the church that we were going through to at that time, he was angry because I was putting on makeup. He didn't like me with makeup. And we were heading to Bible study, and he went to grab me and some kind of way punch my nose or whatever. I had a big gash. I got tired of covering up I went to church just like that. The pastor saw it, and he said he didn't want to get involved because his family was the biggest members of the ministry because it was a small ministry. And the pastor's wife was like, I'm so sorry. She apologized to me times later. Thank you for joining, Morel. But I'm talking about love after the abuse. And what do we do? What do we do even with our children? What do we do even with them being bullied or abused at school or our teenagers being abused? When are we having the conversations, and what do you say to them? Do they know about the hotline number? And then not even that, they also have it where you can text. So some people are afraid to talk about domestic violence, so you can text There's a text site they have where you can text and chat. And that is all capital letters begin, BEGIN. And then you text that to 88788. But in the meantime, I'm just saying, like, we need to have those conversations in our homes. We need to have those conversations now, today. It's the summertime. Parents, you'll be working. You're not going to be there. Sometimes your children are going to go over to auntie's house or a cousin's house or even to summer camp or anything. Like, we need to make these conversations known. And in our homes, we need to open our mouths daily. We need to make it where it's just like saying, God, thank you. It needs to be just that prevalent in our homes, discussions in our homes. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Casey, for joining. But how do you feel about when you've gotten your heart hurt or you've been cheated on or lied to or beaten or abused? How do you love again? Where does that begin? Have you ever had this situation going on? How did you learn to love again or even love yourself? It was hard for me to love myself because of what all I was going through. It was hard for me to even want to move forward in a relationship after all the deceit I went through, after all the abuse I went through, after all the lies. Like, because everyone you meet, sometimes you meet that same person. Thank you, Laurie, for joining. Like, what do you do? A lot of us have been in different relationships, but how do you move forward into a new one? What does love look like for you after you've already been abused, lied on, cheated on? What do you do? What is your source? My source is Jesus. That's what got me through those years of abuse. And I stayed for almost 6 years, I think, before saying enough was enough. Before saying there's more out there, there's better out there, before even allowing my family to know what was going on. Because the one thing a person that's abusing you want to do is isolate you. So when you are mad at your daughter or mad at your son and they're in relationships, you don't know what you're doing on the back skirts, because that person they're with, if there's an abuser or a manipulator, a monopolizer, a bully or whatever, they feed off of that. My ex-husband fed off of my family in the same state, not coming around, not visiting a lot, because that was his ammunition that he could do whatever he wanted to me and nobody would ever know. And then they will tell you, I'll kill your family. I'll kill you. And you can't not take it serious. And then when people tell you, why didn't you leave? Hi, Chris. Thank you for joining. Why didn't you leave? It's not easy to leave. The hardest part about going through mental abuse, domestic violence, physical abuse, and all those different things is the leaving. That's when you can lose your life every time. Sorry, I lost my space. You have to get a plan. You have to come up with a plan of escape. You have to open your mouth. You have to tell someone so they would know that you're being abused, that something is going on in your relationship. Let somebody know, even if you're afraid, and a trusted friend. I had people that stopped talking to me because I wouldn't leave. And that's the worst thing you can do, is leave a person in abuse. You're not there because you want to be abused, but it's hard to just up and leave, because 10 times out of 10, they know where your family are. They know all your friends. And as we see on the news every day, people go after your family, after your friends, and kill you all to find you. So what do we do? What do we do? Thank you for joining. For me, when I finally said enough was enough. Yes, I got a restraining order, but every time he would come over, he knew it took the police a long time to get there. So if he's not there, when he busted my car, took my tag off my car, all the things he did, if he's not there when the police gets there, it didn't happen. And a restraining order is not the end of the story. Because a lot of times women with restraining orders still get violated, still get abused. There was a TikTok on here where the young lady had a restraining order, and someone video where the guy chased her down and shot her down. Right here on TikTok, they got the video. Like, we see this every day, but I'm not understanding why no one wants to talk about it. Thank you, NYB, for joining. The subject today is love after the abuse or after the cheating. How do you move on? How do you start over? Please like, share, and join. Join me. Thank you so much. What are we teaching our children, our teenagers about domestic violence, about bullying, about physical abuse, mental abuse? What are we saying? How do we move on? How do we move forward? This is a subject a lot of people don't like to talk about, but I have to talk about it. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I'm a survivor of a traumatic brain injury. So if I do slur or something, my words aren't coming out right, that's why. So I'm just letting you know. But what do you do? How did you move forward, any of you, after being in a crazy relationship? How did you survive and how did you move forward? What does love look like after the abuse? For me, it's caution. Very cautious. My guards were up. Always looking for this person to be a liar as well. It makes you more conscientious of giving your heart away. It makes you guarded after you've been abused, after you've been violated. There's people that say that you meet the same type of person because you haven't been delivered. But the one thing I do know is you need deliverance. You need to get, if you have a relationship with God, that's the only way you can be set free of the anger. I was angry for years after the abuse. I was angry at him for what he did to me. I was angry at him for even trying to give me something that he had that was not able to get rid of. I was angry, and I thank God for keeping me. I can thank God for allowing me to be able to stay here, be here today. Because when you punch someone, when you hit someone, you don't know if they're going to get up. You don't know if they're going to survive. You don't know if they're going to live. Thank you all for joining. Please share, hit the likes, follow. Thank you, Elizabeth, for joining. Today is love after the abuse. Yes, after my domestic violence relationship and marriage, after 5 years of just praying and getting in God's place, as you can see, I did get married again. Is he perfect? No. But he doesn't put his hands on me. But abuse is more than physical. It's mental. It's emotional. It's financial. It's spiritual. Spiritual abuse is when you want to go to church and your spouse won't take you if you can't get there. Financial is if you're working and they take your check from you and only allow you to have a certain amount of money. Or if you're not working and you need some things and they won't, help you to get it. There's so many different avenues of abuse. But today I want to open up the conversation to even our children. Abuse is not just with the adults. It's with our children as well. In high school, you have so many different children, our teenagers who are going through abuse. We don't have to look at a Lifetime movie to see it. Just look at the stories on the news where the football player is dating the cheerleader, and if she doesn't give in or she doesn't do drugs or she doesn't give him sex, then he's grabbing her, he's abusing her. I don't want you with this person, or I don't like your friends. I mean, we have to make this conversation known in our homes at all times with our children, with our teenagers, even in our children that are somewhere between the ages of 10. I don't know what age they are when they're in junior high school. Those age groups, I guess that's maybe 13 to 16, are being abused. We have to talk about it. Talk about it with your children. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. Please like, share, and add. Please share, hit the hearts. We have to also make it known to our children that are young, that are in elementary school, those that are in kindergarten. Like if someone's touching you, if the teacher touching you, if they're violating you, like sometimes they're getting beaten. Like if you look on the news, they have it, even TikTok, where they have videos where the child went to daycare and the teacher punched them. Like abuse is abuse. We have to talk about it. We have to not just wait on our churches or wait for advocates like myself to talk about it. We have to talk about it. We have to be interested in it because we never know when it's touching our families, our homes. You don't never know when it's with your child or with your niece or your nephew. Abuse is abuse. Thank you, Luxury, for joining. So how do we move forward? How do you love after the abuse? What are we doing today to prevent it from continuing to happen? How do we put an end not only to domestic violence, but to physical violence, to mental. We have to deal with our mental abuse. Mental abuse is on the rise. Children, our teenagers are now being exposed to so much drugs in school, sex in school, peer pressure in school, being violated in school. What do we do? Are we having those conversations? How do we have the conversation? Thank you, Diane, for joining. Like, share, hit those hearts. Today's subject, once again, is love after the abuse. I went through 5 years, maybe six, of domestic violence, of manipulation, monopolizing. I mean, he was something. I had two black eyes at one time. The first one was because it was Valentine's Day and I wouldn't give him any money because he wanted to go get high. So he punched me and took my car. And then the second time was another, I would say a month after that. I don't even know what he was mad at then. So I had two black eyes at one time. Was it something that I talked about? No. It was embarrassing. So that's why I'm saying to you, let someone know what you're going through. Thank you, Gold Type, for joining. Please like, share, join me. It didn't feel good. I didn't tell my family. We were close by, but no one really visited me. Thank you, Casey, for joining. The subject today is love after the abuse, not just domestic violence, but what do you do? Are you able to move forward after being cheated on or lied to or manipulated or even violated or even abused? Men go through abuse as well. Do you still trust the same? Do you think that you will find love again? For me, I did. Love did come, but I was very cautious. I had my guards up. It took years, 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 years. A lot of praying, a lot of God, a lot of healing. I had to heal and be delivered, because sometimes we get out of one relationship and then we tell the person that we're thinking of dating, and then we tell them, sometimes they become that same type of person because we haven't healed. So it's like you meet that same type of person, you have that same type of spirit on you that attracts that from one abuse to the next abuse. So what do you do? How do you move from it? Hi, sis. Thank you for joining.
Hi,
You care
thank
to want to talk? You can. If you want to give insight to anything you've been through, you can. Anyone else who want to get on, you can. But is it easy to love again after your abuse or after being cheated on or lied to?
It depends on your situation, how you
Can't hardly
feel.
hear you.
It depends. I think my phone is playing up. It
Okay. Thank
depends
you,
on
Bobby, for
how you,
joining.
it depends on how you feel, where you come from, what the type of abuse you've been through. How does it? How do you come out of that abuse? Because sometimes people come out of abuse with a lot of scars, a lot of resentment, a lot of things that they're afraid to go in. How can I trust again? How can I move on? Is this the person going to do the same thing? So they comes out with a lot of scars and they're trying to work out, how can I build up? How can I move on? Because sometimes the person that abuses them, that has shown a different side in the beginning, and then things start to change. I don't think abuse started from the beginning, because the person who you're with is not going to start that way. After a while, something triggered that abuse off. Something triggered them off. Sometimes it's financial. Sometimes it's the things you're going through. You can take someone from somewhere, take them to be with you, and after a while, the bills become a pile. The burden of life become a pile, and then there's no one else to take out that on. You take it out on your spouse, you take it out on your husband, you take it out on your children, and abuse doesn't have to be physical. It could be emotional. It could be everything, financial. The way you talk to somebody, that could become as a form of abuse. So there you go, my sis.
And do you have any insight on someone how to handle it? Like, how do you get out of it? Or how do you, instead of hiding it, like, what is your insight to help someone?
How do you get off out of an abuse? Sometimes you're in an abusive relationship. That abuse, you can see that person as you go to. Because some people, they does not see an abuse as an abuse. They see it as maybe the way the person is with you. But after a while, oh, sis, you get, don't
Right.
tap your own screen, sis. Don't tap your own screen, please. After a while, you become a known to what's going on around you. So without somebody seeing or having an insight of what's going on with you, because there's going to be a changes about you, you can become isolated. You can resent yourself from people because you're ashamed. You don't want people to know that you're going through this situation. This is what I'm going through. I don't want my friend to know. So the more you become isolated from everyone, your abuser become more aggressive to you because now they're having you under the thumb. They're having you under their shadow. You understand what I mean? They make you feel less of who you is because they are not going to make you feel that you are worthy of yourself. They are going to tear you down so you only see them. You get what I mean? So for you to move on from that, you have to find somebody you can talk to. The first thing is talking. The second thing is having confidence in somebody you can trust, somebody who can listen. Because talking from somebody who's been through an abuse, they don't need somebody to talk back. They need somebody who can listen. And if you can listen to somebody who is going through something, and you got to be careful also of your response to that person because that response can also be a trigger. You got to be careful of the tone of voice that you use to that person because if that person have a tone of voice that the abuser use with them, that tone can become a tone of a trigger. And somebody who's going through abuse, you have to be careful how you approach them, how you deal with them. When they come to you, you got to let them trust you. Trust you to open, trust you to deal with the situation, trust you to make you feel, let them feel like, oh, I have somebody who I can talk to. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while because sometimes we doesn't understand that abuse is not just hitting. Men, women, children, go through abuse. What is abuse? What does it comes under? What is the umbrella of an abuse? Abuse comes under an umbrella. A lot of things can be abuse. It can be financial abuse. You can be in a relationship and that person doesn't want you to have certain things. They're deliberately stopping you from having stuff. That's an abuse. You understand?
Yes.
So you got to know when to speak up, when to walk away. Am I worth this? Is this what I want for my life? This is the person I want to be with? Does this person really loves me? These are the questions you got to ask. What can I do? When it is time to say enough, enough is enough. It's got to be a time. But also during that time, you have to have somebody. Because if you feel like my friend's gonna laugh at me, my family gonna tell me off, my family not going to understand that I'm going through this. They're going to see it as nothing. But you are going through the pain each day. You understand? Sometimes male go through abuse. And they are going through it because people think that they're a man. And the woman there which is talking to them a certain way. You can't go there. That's abuse. You
Hmm.
cannot tell a big grown man that he can't do certain things. You cannot have it in a certain type of life. That's abuse. You are mentally, it's emotionally abused. There's a lot of way that people think that, oh, that's nothing. It's abuse. The way you talk to somebody could be abusive because you're intimidating them. You're intimidating them in a certain way.
I like that. You gave a lot of good insight. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, KM, for joining. There was a few other you that joined in. Like, share, and join. 10 stars, hearts, whatever you can, so we can get the conversation going with other people, enlightening them on abuse. The subject today is love after the abuse, and also with how do we deal with the abuse, but do we also share with our families, share with our children, start having those conversations with our teenagers about abuse because they're dealing with it every day as well in private, and we don't even know it. So, what do we do? And thank you so much, my sister, for my literal blood sister, for giving insight on that to help other people understand what it looks like from the lenses of someone on the outside. And also, how do you, a lot of times when we get out of the relationship, we tend to pick up the same type of spirit of a person and we move on to another abuser and another abuser and another abuser. So, the one thing that I would say is we have to allow ourselves to heal. We have to
Because
forgive that abuser and then forgive ourselves. Anything else, sis?
that's a pattern. When you're used to certain type of things, you're going to see that and it turns to another type of thing. But it's a pattern. Sometimes when you get out of an abuse, how do you move on from it? How do you how do you step forward? Because sometimes you got to know when it is time to say, this is what I'm going to do. But sometimes when you get away from your abuser, 5 times out of 10, they always go back
Mm-hmm.
to the abuser because the abuser knows your weakness.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what to say to you, how to say to you, to make you feel like, oh, there's something about him is changed. No, there's nothing, not for the change. A leopard never changes its spot.
Amen.
You understand? You cannot bend an old tree. It's already been grown. You understand? And so you cannot say, oh, he's changed. There's no change about it. He's talking to you now because he knows that you have known about him. I have known you. I know your pattern. But this time he's gonna come in a different way, and this is he's gonna come in a different type of aspect towards you. So when they're coming that way, they're gonna show you something that you go back to the same abuser. Sometimes people will say, oh, I'm tired of that person. He's abusing her, but she's going back. No, don't blame her. Do not blame her. Do not blame him because they might go back thinking that this is the only thing I know. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the only thing you know. There's a time for you to say, I'm done. I'm better than this.
Amen.
I am stronger than this. I can move on from this. There is better for me out there. Sometimes people who've been through abuse feel like the abuser has damaged them mentally,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, so bad that they feel that the abuser is the only person
Mm-hmm.
that they can deal with. So they are not going to move on to something better. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they end up being alone
Mm-hmm.
because they become so afraid of trusting again because
Amen.
the abuser has abused them mentally and emotionally, and it also built up trauma for them because sometimes the slightest of thing can be a trigger. The way somebody talks. Sometimes you would be talking to somebody. who've been through something. You can have a childhood abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And in adulthood, somebody might say, "How?" And you triggered because you're used to being shouted. You are used to be
Mm-hmm.
talked down to. You are used to be saying things to that isn't right. You get what I mean? So that becomes a trigger point for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you may talk to somebody and say, your tone of voice can be a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Look can be a trigger. You understand? Growing up as a kid, you have your nan, and there was a look that she give you if you're doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that stop what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're doing something that can move something, because you know if you touch something, it's a trigger.
That's
They
right.
might throw it at you. So just like your abuser, they can do something, they can say something, they can look at you a certain way, and you feel intimidated, you feel under pressure, you feel like you're doing something wrong. That's abuse. But how do you get out of it? How do you move on? First, you have to get away. Second, you have to find counseling. You have to find somebody who you can talk to because talking is healing. And first, you have to forgive yourself. You cannot forgive your abuser. You have to forgive yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
You have to say to yourself, I'm sorry. I put you through this. You are worth more than this. I'm beautiful. I'm I'm an amazing person.
Mm-hmm.
And from you start speaking to yourself, then you're going to start overcome. You may not get rid
Amen.
of it, but you can overcome. Because abuse, people know how to abuse people.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not going to stop until they tear you down.
Damn.
You understand? So for you to move on, you have to be healed. And sometime when you're healed, it's going to take a while
Mm-hmm.
because, and you have to heal in a way where if you go into a new relationship, you don't take that with you. Because sometimes going into a new relationship, you are looking for patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And the slightest of thing that that person do can be a pattern for you.
A trigger
And,
warning.
and it triggered you off. And you said, oh yeah, I knew. You are just
Mm-hmm.
the same. You are just like my ex. No, he's not the ex.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So you have to know how to move on, how when it is the right time. You
I
have a
like that. Go on, sis. I like that. You're giving some great, great, great points and analogies. And for everyone that's coming in, a cool. There were some other ones that came in. Thank you so much for joining. Today we're talking about love after the abuse, or healing, or whatever you've dealt with, and how did you move on. Also about making it aware of domestic violence, mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, um, spiritual abuse, financial abuse, all that, and also informing our children. There's so many teenagers that are going through domestic violence or abuse in schools. So, are we having the conversations, and can we allow our children to be able to come to us and talk about it, or are we having the conversations at home to let them know it's okay? So that's what we're talking about today. Love after the abuse, or how do you move on? Is it easy to love? So go ahead, sister. Didn't mean to cut you off, but so many people are coming in. Thank you
so
for joining. Hit the like button, share, join. Thank you so much. Hit
yes,
those hearts.
I'm working in I haven't told you yet in victim support for people who is going through a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I am starting working in that field at the moment. So I'm going over from supporting kids to supporting people who is going through things, victim support worker.
Amen.
So
Amen.
I have to learn a lot. I have to understand a lot, and I have to know how to talk with people, how to listen. The main thing is listening. when to talk, how to talk, the tone of voice you got to give to that person that is going through whatever situation they are going through, how to deal with it, how to let them feel secure with you. Um, for kids, when you're working with kids who've been through trauma, you
Mm-hmm.
got to let them feel like you're not the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
You got to let children feel like I can talk to you. So what I normally says to my kids that when I'm speaking to them, the kids that I support, I would say, it is bad when I say it's bad. So whatever you've done, when I say it's bad, then I say it's bad. So for that, I'm giving them the assurity that they can trust me because you have to gain trust from children.
Amen.
If they don't find you to be trustful, they're not going to talk to you. They're
Mm-hmm.
not going to come to you because I can't trust you. Especially kids who's going through certain type of trauma, out of certain type of home. So when they come to you and speak to you, even if it is bad and you know it's something really bad they do, you have to find a way
Mm-hmm.
of speaking to them. You can't really say, why did you do that? You have to say, oh, and you have to quick think what to say for them to understand. Then you're going to ask them, calm them down. You're going to ask them, do you think what you did was okay? You got to be careful also of the tone of voice. The tone of voice can be also come as a patronizing.
Another thing I wanted to add, sister, and this is my blood sister. You all keep hearing me say sister. Is the first and foremost thing we have to have a relationship with God. We have
Yes,
to, we cannot get through the pain, the trauma, the hurt without a relationship with God because He has to be our foundation and our source. And that's something I wanted to add to the healing process that I had to go through. And it was rough, but we have to have a foundation and a relationship with God in order to make it through, to get healing, to be delivered, because you just can't be healed without being delivered. And we just have to make sure that we trust in His every word, trust in the process, because it's not going to be easy. It didn't take we didn't get out of it quickly. So to go through it, to get the healing, to go through the deliverance, it's a process, but you have to be open to God, open to His word, open to correction, open to His healing, open to forgiving. The one thing I hated to do and I didn't want to do is forgive, because I was very hurt. Don't go anywhere, sis, because my ex, he not only was he verbal, mental, physical abuse, but also in the relationship there was other things that he tried to attached to me that I would have never been able to get rid of. And I thank God that it never was passed to me, because it could have killed me eventually. And he, like you said, the abuser, what they do is they try to not only intimidate you, but break you. And the one thing he used to say is he hated that I love God. And I'm like, wow, like you go to church. How do you hate that I love God? And he would take my Bibles. I keep a lot of books. Like I was reading some of the things, I keep a lot of inspirational things around me. He would take and throw away my CDs, and he just hated the glow. He hated the anointing. He hated that he could not break me. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand that. But when I was in Bible study one day, we were talking about forgiveness. And I hated, I agree with you, cousin Erica. Oh, hi,
that's so
Matthew. I
Sonia.
hate, oh, hey, Sonia, that's my baby. I hated the fact that I hid it. I hated the fact that it was, like you mentioned how we're afraid to talk about it. You are. Like, who wants to say, Mom, Dad, I'm being abused? Mom, Dad, I had to go to the hospital. Mom, Dad, that he's beating me up. He's dragging me. He's pulling out my hair. Mom, Dad, that he's, not what it appears in front of you. If I'm sitting there nervous or scared, I can't tell you what not to say as a trigger. And one day I called my brother and I'm like, listen, he's doing this. Like, he broke my phone when before our dad died of cancer. I used to video him praying, and he's in a bed praying with all of us around him. There's so many things I had as last moments. I always recorded. or took pictures of, and he broke that phone. And I was so angry. And when I'm telling my brother, he didn't believe me. And that's another thing. People won't believe you when you're going through abuse. People don't believe you because they're like, oh, well, that person is nice. Or that person is a pastor. Or that person is a Christian. No, he's really sweet. No, if I'm telling you the abuse is happening, or he's, beating me, or doing violent things to me, believe me. But people don't believe you. I don't understand that. I see my cousin. You can type in any messages we'll read. Sis, you can go ahead again.
Yeah, sometimes when people find you to be too nice, there always seems to be, it's called jealousy. Sometimes your spouse, your partner, your significant other, your husband, your wife, or whoever is the abuser at the time, they can literally tear you down. They
Mm-hmm.
have trying to change your identity. They are trying to change who you are as a person. You could be a nice person and they can turn you out to be somebody who you doesn't recognize anymore. You become a person who used to be cheerful, laughful. Somebody's supposed to be. Somebody talk and you shun yourself. They said, why is Erica like that? Why is she not talking? She's not. There is something beneath the covers, but you're afraid to say because you don't know who to say to. And sometimes the fact of the matter is you're going to say something and people may lash out. They are not
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that you are in the danger. You are in the danger zone. You understand? You are the one who's living in that danger. If I speak, how are you going to get me out of this situation I'm in? I'm the one who had to go into it. I'm the one who had to do this. So that's the reason why when you're going through um, an abusive relationship, an abusive marriage, an abusive relationship, and you find yourself excused, you have to be around people who's going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
For you to do that, you also have to be like, you have to be careful because you can't let him know you are now talking. Now you
Mm-hmm.
have the voice to speak. So wherever you go, you have to hide. And you have to go out in secret, back home in secret.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go to your meetings in secret, back home in secret. And then you become afraid. Now you become having a voice. And the day you start to speak up is the day your abuser is going to feel threatened.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder, why is he speaking like this? Who is he speaking to? You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Realizing that you are not being afraid anymore. You understand? Because being with somebody, sometimes you're in a relationship, that person is getting more money than you do. They use that type of money to intimidate you. You're not having this, you're not. That's abuse. You understand? How can you tell a grown person you're allowed something? You're not this. People doesn't even know the umbrella. Abuse comes under an umbrella.
That's right.
A different layers of abuse a person can go through. Some people doesn't even understand the significance of an abuse that yes, the way you talk to me, you're abusing me. The thing you say to me, you're abusing me.
That's right.
You get what I mean?
So, cousin said, I agree with you too, my cousin Anise. You are hitting some great points.
Yeah, because it's there. You understand what I mean? You got to know. Sometimes people they become so ashamed, especially women, especially men. Men these days is finding themselves
In abuse. Mm-hmm.
into an abusive relationship. You understand? You have people who emotionally, physically abusing you. You understand what?
Can I say something with that, sis? That's true. Men are supposed to, as they say, men aren't supposed to cry. Men are, weak if they complain. Men are weak if they speak up. But men are going through domestic violence and abuse, or verbal abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse, just like women, if not more. It's just they don't talk about it. Men are being hurt at numbers that we don't even have calculated because they don't talk about it. They are embarrassed. Men are one of our pillars in these days that need to know that it's okay to speak up. It's okay to call the police. It's okay to get a restraining order. It's okay to let people know, your family know, somebody know, without feeling like you're less than, that something is going on, that a woman is abusing you, that she's physically, emotionally, financially abusing you. And abuse is more than hitting, like you were saying earlier. And our men, we need to give them the confidence to say, I'm going to speak up. I'm going to stop this, because I have lots of nieces and nephews, but I had a nephew as well that was being abused. But who believed him? I'm like, yeah, right. You're a guy, and we don't expect them to be abused, but they are. They get abused. So what do they do? Who do they reach out to? Domestic violence or mental abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, bullying, all that is near seemingly circled around women. But men are being abused as well. And that's why I like that in my, not only my organization, which is called Trap for the Treasure, Inc., for domestic violence, I like to deal with homelessness as well. It's not predicated to just women. I had a man come to me and say, I'm being abused. And it's embarrassing. So I sent him to my husband, because my husband is a pastor, is Apostle Gary Cooper, and he has a men's group in his with the church. But it's through the church, but outside the church. So they talk about everything, and the men are open to talk about things in a respectful way. But the things that they talk about, and they can cry and just be, themselves and speak up about you, it behooves you, because men has emotions too. Men are going through too. Men need encouraging too. Men need to know that they have a voice to utilize when they're being abused, when they're being taken advantage of, when they're being violated. Men get violated. Even if we look at this new thing on, I don't want to get kicked off of TikTok, but with one of the major rappers that's out there, and now it's coming out that he abused people, that he raped men.
Yeah. The thing I would like to add into that is I'm now realizing and coming to my knowledge where women and men, most likely women, is taking men into their home, marrying them, taking them from
Hmm.
another country, and then they're intimidating the man. You're not allowed to go out.
Wow.
You're not allowed to do this. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You're not allowed to go there. You understand? That is an abuse, a
Hmm.
entrapment abuse. And they cannot speak up because of their situation. Yes, you can speak up.
Right.
You have a voice, you can speak up. Whosoever bring you to another country, take you out of your country to another country to be there and have you under some imprisonment, it's an abuse.
Right. I hate that my thing, I had it folded up. And there's so many wrinkles in it. I'm so sorry, you all. I just unfolded it.
An abuse. You cannot have somebody imprisonment them because you feel you have done them something.
Right.
You cannot do that. It's not right.
So
People,
what would you say today, sister, to some guy or man or male or teenage young boy that's being abused or bullied? What would you say to them today?
the young men, they have to try to find their voice. They've got to realize that just take the man or take the boy out of see yourself as an individual.
Hmm.
Take yourself off being a man for a while. See yourself as somebody who is a man. You have feelings. Blood runs through your veins. Is this what I deserve? Do I deserve this type of life? Is this a life I wanted for myself? And find somebody. Find somebody you can talk to. You've got to have somebody who is not going to look down their nose on you. But these days, the reason why most men doesn't speak up is because they don't know who to speak to.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know who can I talk to? Where can I go? My wife speaks to me this way, I don't like it. But I can't talk back to her because she's a woman. And if I speak back, most women use this woman thing to intimidate men
Right.
because they feel you can't talk to me because you are what you would call it a man. So I'm going to talk to you the way I want to talk to you, and it's okay. It's not okay. No woman have no right to speak down to a man.
That's right.
He's a man. And no man have the right to sit and take any form of a certain tone from a woman. You're a woman, be
Amen.
a woman, be respectful. A man needs to be loved to feel loved. Don't have to feel like you're talking to me a certain way. It doesn't work like that. So men need to find somebody they can speak to.
Hold on, sister. For today's topic, it's love after the abuse. And what do you do? Like, are we making a platform in our home and making it comfortable for our teenagers that are going through abuse at school or with their peers? Are we discussing being going through any type of abuse even with our children? Hello, Lisa. Plus, like, share, add, follow, please. Hit those hearts. This is a difficult conversation, but it must be had. And I'm grateful for my sister who's in the UK. Send some shots out to her. Send some hearts, roses over to her for speaking up and just being a pillar because we have to allow ourselves to be open to talk, to open our mouths and help people that are going through domestic violence, physical abuse, mental abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse, but also bullying. Like it starts not just with the adults, but it's going on with our children. It's going on in with our teenagers, and we have to open our mouths and we have to be able to make
Well,
them aware and comfortable.
that's your cousin, sis.
Which
Kevin.
one, Lisa?
Kevin.
Hi, cousin. I have so much family. Hi, everybody. Like, share, add, hit those hearts.
Yeah.
Gifts. Give those gifts over to a niece. Give her some love. But I wanted to give you all a number for the hotline. This is not just for domestic violence, as in physical abuse. There's so many different stages of abuse, and that national hotline number is 800-799-7233. Or now you can even text, and you can text to all capital letters begin, BEGIN, to 88788. Is it easy to love again after abuse? No. For me,
Sis,
no. Go ahead, sis.
something that's dropped in my spirit.
Uh-huh.
Did you know it's not just friends and husband
Hi,
and
cousins. Uh-huh.
brother can be abusive? You can get abuse from your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Your friends can be abusive to you.
Amen.
You understand what I mean? So it doesn't just come from family or from a spouse or from a husband or from your wife or from your insignificant other. Your friends can also be abusive to you.
Amen.
So,
And your parents.
God, yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Your teachers. I mean, anybody, your bus drivers. I mean, this is something we have to talk about. And it's just not in your home. It could be your pastor. Like, abuse is so widespread and it's going on and it's just ramping up. And the devil is just taking people to places that we've never been before, even in the White House. I mean, abuse is everywhere. Look at the Capitol. I mean, we should not be surprised anymore. But what we can do is open our mouths and we can have a platform. We can talk about it in our homes. We can get together and men can talk with men and women with women and we can get together and have a conversation. Great job. You've done live 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. Okay, TikTok. But anyway, we need to make it known that it is not acceptable. We need to talk to our children. I did a live one day on Facebook, and it was with teenagers. It was like teenager violence awareness. You would not believe how many teenagers are speaking up about being abused in school. The parents don't know about it because a lot of times the fathers aren't present and the mothers are busy and then they don't believe their children or they don't want their children dating and they're afraid to speak up. We gotta open up the avenues of conversation. And then our leaders, we have to make a platform, maybe on a conference, saying, okay, we need to talk about domestic violence, we need to talk about sexual abuse, because everybody looks back in the day, way back in the day, it was the church that we all made our foundation with God. And now it's like we got away from that. And church is only about fundraisers for some people or about just a ministry, but the ministry of helping, the ministry of love, the ministry of getting people delivered, the ministry of healing starts with everything. Sis, you can get the floor back if you want to speak. Cousin, if you want to come up and speak, you are welcome. But we're talking about love after the abuse. How do we open up to our children? How do we let men know that it's okay to speak up about abuse because our men are being violated, our men are being abused, our men are being sexually abused? Let's look at the news. You all know about the rapper that was having all these parties and people got violated. And the men didn't want to speak up because they didn't want to be seen as being gay or being weak or being, bisexual. But we need to let them know that life happens to us all, but we need to open up our mouths and have a platform where we can get people help, we can get people healed. We can't heal them, but God can give them a source of the healing, which is Jesus Christ. On this platform, it's Jesus Christ, who is the head of and the author and the finisher of my faith and my life. But sis, I'm giving it back over to you because you made a lot of great points and people are definitely hearing you.
Okay, yes, I'm just saying that sometimes your own friends
Jesus!
can be abusive to you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to you have to know where you're coming from.
Amen.
People, your friends, because they know you. They said your best friend is your worst enemy can be your best friend because they are the one who knows everything there is to know about you.
Excuse me for a moment. My puppy getting
Everything there is to know. So sometimes you have in a situation where people know everything there is to know about you and they use that against you. That can be abuse. They intimidate you, they know how to put you down, they know how to tear you down. And they
Mm-hmm.
tear you down in such a manner where you don't know who to turn to.
Mm-hmm.
So your best friend could be abusing you and you don't know. It's not just in relationship that you get abused. You get abused in friendship. You understand? You get it in friendship. You get it in situationship. Everything there is you get abusing. How do you get out of it? How do you move on from it? Sometimes
Amen.
have been let down by their friends. Friends have tear them down. That's abuse. Because your friend used certain things to tear you down. It's abuse. You don't expect them to talk to you that way.
Mm-hmm.
You don't expect them to use certain things against you. You understand what I mean? So you have to try to move on. How do you move on from a situation like that?
I think if you how to move on from a situation like that, and you all you all in the comments, you can definitely ask questions or even agree. Please like, share, hit the hearts. Please send gifting. Please gift our sister, my sister Anise. Um, it's hard to get away from that or over it because then it also makes you where you don't want to trust. A lot of times, if we're going through abuse or have been raped, molested, or financially abused or whatever, who can you really talk to? It took years for me to open my mouth about my domestic violence marriage. Years. Because when you do open up to someone, they'll say, oh, well, you're dumb for staying. Well, don't you know leaving is when you can lose your life? Staying you can as well, but when you leave, you have to leave in a different type of manner. When you're sharing what's going on nowadays, people are losing their lives because when you tell your mother, your father, your friends, they get involved, they get in his face. Next thing you know, he's going to your party or wherever you are with your friends and shooting up the whole building. Like, we have to be smart about it. We have to talk to someone who's gone through domestic violence, talk to someone who's aware of domestic violence, talk to they have the number like I've given it a lot of times already on this platform. You can text one of the national domestic violence numbers because they have different ones for different states, but the national number is 800-799-7233. That's 800-799-7233. Or you can text begin, all capital letters, BEGIN, to 88788. But when you open your mouth, they take your phone, they snatch your phone, they try to make you intimidated. They tell you they're going to kill your family, kill your friends. They, like my ex-husband, would steal my keys, steal my car, take my tag off my car. He knew the family wasn't coming around a lot, so we got to make sure that when we are going through something, we have to let our family know, and then we have to also ask them not to try to get involved to a point where they get themselves hurt. You know, it's hard to say, okay, you're beating up my daughter, but I'm just gonna not do anything about it. No, we have to be smart about it. We have to lead in a way where you slowly move things out of out of the home. You get counseling, you get help. You have it where you can call these shelters. They can pick you up anonymously from around the corner, down the street, and get you relocated safely. But there's so many different ways of getting help, and I'm gonna say they have restraining orders, but a lot of times restraining orders, they don't quite stop promise. They don't quite are respected by the violator as they should be. They're not intimidated by a restraining order, because one of the things I went through was my abuser has done it so many times that he knew that he had to be there when the police got there. And then a lot of people have lost their lives getting a restraining order, going to the courts. And it's like, oh, you told on me? Oh, okay, you're going to pay for it. So what do? Trust God, pray to God, get help, speak up. Parents, let your children know that it's okay to talk to you about domestic violence, about domestic abuse, about physical abuse, emotional abuse, even in the high schools. Men, it's okay to talk about being abused. We're not going to think that you are, punk, or, all the other words that people associate with guys being abused, because you don't need to go through that mental abuse either. It's not a gender thing, it's a human thing. And everyone at some time will know someone, go through it themselves, or be a witness to someone, your neighbor, your children. Like, how would you feel if your child is going through abuse and you're the last one to know about it, or even they lose their life? We have to open our mouths. We have to be open to knowing what's going on. We have to be open to bringing awareness to it. Sis, I'll turn it back over to you. Or anyone in the comments, if you want to leave a message or ask a question.
The next thing I'm trying to say is, um, when you're going through a situation, sometimes here in the UK, what we normally do is we try to get the person to leave. If we can get them out of it, they have to relocate. Relocating is good. You cannot remove them and have this person in the same area, because you have to cut off that contact between the both persons. for them to move on and to set a release and to move on to somewhere else. You understand? So
Mm-hmm.
just have to let people know that some things you go through, it's not okay and it's not fair. You understand? So if you're going through something and you feel in yourself that this is not right, then it's not right. If you feel you're doing something and it is not okay, then it's not okay.
Right.
Don't take it because you think, oh, I love him. The way he talks to me, just, no, it's not okay. They said, who you love. You don't do things to upset somebody who you love. You don't hurt the person who you're talking to feelings. You don't let them feel less of themselves. You understand? You don't let them feel pressured. You don't let them feel like they're not worthy. You don't let them feel like they don't have a voice. Because the
Right.
first thing the abuser do is take away your voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing they do. They take away your voice, and after they remove your voice, they remove your self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And when they remove you, they are tearing you down bit by bit because there's no comeback.
Mm-hmm.
No comeback. It is up to you. When do you feel like you have enough? When enough is enough? Sometimes I sit and I hear women speak, and sometimes I'm sitting there and I just have to listen. Listen and take note. Take note, take note, take note, and listen. Because after listening, I have to take each person one at a time and try to talk to that person. Try for them to understand that you are not to be blamed. You have done nothing wrong. You have to have that in their head over and over to let them know you're nothing wrong. You have
Right.
done nothing wrong. You understand? You just find yourself in a situation, now you're out of it. How are you going to deal with this? Now it's time to move on. And you can't move them on in a rush. They have to move on when they feel they are secure enough and ready enough to move on. And you can't force somebody who has been into an abusive relationship to talk.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot force them to talk. You've got to let them know for weeks, I'm here when you're ready. Whenever time you feel ready. And if you trust me, it's going to be on trust. They have to trust you to talk to you. And when they start talking, you can't give them no ultimation that they're saying something that is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or what they did was wrong, or why did he do that. You cannot say that person who's coming out of an abusive relationship, marriage, friendship, situationship, any ship at all, you cannot let that person feel like it was their fault.
Right.
You cannot let them feel that way. First, you have to give them the okay to know that it's okay to talk with you. So what I would say to them is, you can talk. Is everything okay? And you got to be careful also for your ask, is everything okay? Because you know it's not okay. You understand? You can
Right.
feel like you're pitying them because people don't want pity when they're coming out of a relationship. They've already been through that.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to get this person to trust you? You have to have the time. It's called an effort where you let that person understand that I'm here for you whenever time you need to speak. Sometimes you call, like I was on a call today, and I'm talking, and I have to be careful how I talk, I have to be careful of my tone, and I have to be careful what I say. Then I have to say, it's okay. Then you have to also ask, is it okay if I call you again?
Mm-hmm.
Then, even then, you will realize whether or not that person had a tiny bit of that in you. Because if you said, could I call you again? And they go like, you knew that there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
You got to leave the door open. You know my number, where I am, whenever time you feel like calling. 24 hours. You cannot be unavailable for
Mm-hmm.
somebody who is coming out of an abusive relationship. You
That's
cannot
right.
have a timetable for them. You also have to have a time where you say, you can call me at any time. You don't know when their trigger is going to come on
Mm-hmm.
and they need someone to talk to. I used to be a support for a young lady who's down in London. And whenever time she triggered, because she had so many trauma, I call. I have to be on the, I have to wake up sometimes for hours just listening. So we just got to know that abuse can be in many forms. A lot of children have been through traumas in their life
Mm-hmm.
and it affects them in their adulthood. And sometimes you're married to someone and it doesn't help because that trauma that you've been through has also come in your mind. And sometimes your husband or your wife has say something to you that triggered that childhood. And after triggered that childhood trauma, now you have to find yourself in a place where you didn't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that became a problem also in your marriage, in your relationship. So, my sister, that's all I have to say, my darling.
I thank you, sis. You just wow. I need to give you the platform to trap with the treasure. You can help so many people. I thank you for your wisdom. I thank God for using you even on the I forgot what you say you're doing to help the people. Um because you have a heart of listening and compassion, and that's what we have to have.
I
It's
work in
compassion.
support. I work in victim support and supporting young children, teenage young children who is in care. So that's where I work, and I work in a victim support worker.
Amen. Amen. I thank you so much. And today's subject was love after the abuse, also about making a home open to conversation with your children, with your teenagers, because domestic violence happens in the schools as well, in their private relationships. As my sister said, it happens with friends, it can happen with family, not just with your spouse. So we have to be able to be open to being not just open minded, but open our own hearts so we can have these conversations, even which you can talk to your pastors, your leaders, to see if you can have them put on a calendar and agree to have these conversations in your congregations. Because you would not believe how much abuse is going on in the church. Me being a wife of an apostle, of a pastor, I'm in a group, a couple of different women's groups, and you would not believe how many wives of pastors are being abused. So abuse is everywhere. It's prevalent. It's in the nursing homes, the hospitals, the schools, the homes next door. I mean, we just have to talk about it so we can get the help, the flyers, the information out to people so we can save a life. Because the more we say that this is not something I want to talk about or it does not pertain to me, it will pertain to you one day. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying it can't pertain to you like with your neighbors next door or one of your relatives, or it could be you one day. I'm just saying, like, we have to be open to talk about it so we can get healed, get delivered, and then we can put a stop to it, excuse me, one person at a time. So I want to thank you all for coming forward. I want to thank my sister for coming on. If you know anybody going through any type of abuse, the national hotline number is 800-799-7233. You can text all caps to begin, BEGIN, to 88788. We need to have conversations with our children, our elementary school children, where teachers are touching them inappropriately. That's abuse. We have so much child abuse, molestation, rape. I mean, there's so much going on. The children are afraid to go outside a lot of times because there's so much shooting and violence. Like, we need to talk about it. We need to talk about not only just domestic violence, but we need to also talk about the depression and mental abuse that comes with it or after it. And there's so much mental abuse in our world today, in our homes, in our neighborhoods, in our communities. Let's talk about it. Let's join with different organizations to familiarize ourselves so we can help, to recognize it and help other people. And like my sister Anise said, we have to be able to not be judgmental, even as an advocate of domestic violence. And I'm grateful that God gave me a platform. It's called Trapped with a Treasure Inc. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me by my organization is a 501c3. You can find me on here. I will be speaking a lot more when I have good moments, because I also have a traumatic brain injury. But it's not about me, but it's about God using me to open my mouth even in the midst of what I'm going through, because no one can tell you about something that you haven't dealt with. I can talk about it because I am a testimony that I came out of it. Did it feel good? No. But God was working out for my good so I can advocate for other women, for other teenagers, for other people to understand that there is a way out, that you don't have to hide behind the mask, that men do get abused and there's help for you as well. So I thank you all for joining. I will pray that you all come back, like, share, join, gifts, gift my sister, send her some hearts, and let's just be mindful of everyone that's going through abuse. That it's hard to speak about, it's hard to talk about, and even if you know someone, don't tell them to get out. You have to help them in a way and get educated on how they can get away. Because when you leave, that's the most horrific time, because that's when your abuser typically want to take it to a different level because they don't want you to leave, and then that's why a lot of people lose their lives. There's a certain way you have to leave. You have to prepare yourself. But for the most point, if someone comes to you, just listen, understand, ask them, is there anything that you can do, and be available. I thank you all. God bless you. I will pray that you all come back to my platform again. Sister, if you have anything else to say.
No, that's all for now.
I thank you for getting on. I thank you all for following my sister Anise. And you all, thank you for all my family all over the world. Thank you for my sister that's in UK. I know you got to eat dinner soon, but I just thank you all for just joining, and you all have a phenomenal day, rest of your day.
Midnight, my sister. It's 12 midnight. I can't sleep at this time.
Thank you, sister, for staying on and for speaking and giving insight. God bless you.
Love you too.
Love
Eat.
you all. Thank you.
Bye bye, sis.
Bye bye.